her anniversary. Ah, okay. Ah. Okay. So this is yeah. So right now you have like some music playing or some intro video or whatever. Cool. And it looks like you got 30 people right now. Am I seeing that number right? But that's the right number, right? That I'm looking at by the orange 30 Fritz Blitz. Okay. So if I just go to Twitch TV C# Fritz, I'll see. Okay, I got you. Yep, I get it. Let's see the set. Yep. Cool. Cool. Good sleep. Okay.
Greetings, my excellent friends.
So that's okay. Can you hear me now? I think I see it. I see it. It's in there. Did we get it? I think I'm seeing still no sound. And I am getting a weird lag refresh on the video. Like literally as soon as I went live. Isn't that great? How you doing there, friends? My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is February 6th, 2024. And we're going to write a little bit of code today. We've got a guest joining us. Mr. Carl Franklin is going to be joining us in just a second. I want to say hello to folks in the chat. Make sure that you Nice. I am a professional streamer. I know exactly what I'm doing. Dear Lord. How you doing, friends? It's going to be one of those days. I do have the sound set properly on the interview scenes. There's weird lagging from the camera. It was literally working just fine just a few minutes ago. Hopefully it'll catch back up. Let me bring on our friend, Mr. Carl Franklin. Oh, thank you for the sub. 68 months.
Blazor Mr. Magoo just resubscribed for 68 months. Party hat happy partner anniversary.
Yeah, there we go. No, I had my volume messed up. Let me bring in our friend and my co-host from the Blazor Puzzle podcast. There he is, Mr. Carl Franklin. Hello, sir. I have you brought in.
Hello. Can everybody hear me? Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Right.
Hello?
Like, yeah, it's one of those days. How are you doing? Good morning, sir.
I'm bleary-eyed and bushy-tailed. Thank you very much. I have my coffee mug here.
Hey,
The illustrious Hot Net Rocks logo on it.
I had one of those, and then the curse of
You do
gravity
not
struck.
anymore? Yeah. We'll have to get you another one.
I normally
have a whole box of them in my garage. I can
Do
bring
you?
it to you next time I see you. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, we keep the coffee mugs above the coffee machine in the cabinet right there because it makes sense. Reach in, grab one out, well, away you go. And one day the dog went running by as I was getting the coffee mug out, and whoop, there it went.
So Surly Dev says, cleaner at my old job threw away my .NET Rocks mug because the handle had broken off. I was not happy. That's great, Surly Dev. You would rather use a .NET Rocks mug with no handle than a generic or other coffee mug. That makes me really happy. Sorry about that. Hey, if you send me an email or something, I'll send you a new one. It's no big deal.
Right. There's something to be said about finding a good mug, a good coffee mug, and that feeling of every day having the right way to start.
Right. Yeah, and you have different moods. Some days I have a Blazor puzzle mood. Some days I have a .NET Rocks mood. Some days I have a cup that I got from Bulgaria that reminds me of that place. I have too many coffee mugs. Too many.
My daughters have been taking pottery classes for the last few years. So, of course, they're always making mugs. And I've got a ton of handmade mugs that my kids made, and they're all pretty good. So, been enjoying that.
Well, the reason that we sound the way we do is because we pretty much just woke up an hour ago or so, and we're still drinking coffee and waking up. In our part of the world, it's not early, but, last night was probably a little later than it should have been, right?
Yeah, right. You need that cup of Good Morning America. And I do recognize we have a number of folks here from Europe. Hey, we're getting raided. TBD Gamer is sending over a raid. 8 viewers joining us from their channel on Twitch. Thank you so much for the raid. And a bunch more folks.
Okay.
Yeah. Saying hello there in chat. Thank you so much.
Very cool. I'm going to be starting to stream on Twitch pretty soon.
Okay.
It's not going to be about development, though. It's going to be about studio, audio, recording, video, podcasting, like all this stuff that's in my brain that I haven't really shared with anybody. I'm going to start culminating a sort of, a list of YouTube videos that are small. But it's going to start with a Twitch, and I'm going to take requests. Basically, I want to know what people need.
The CEO of Twitch, the new guy that took over, his name is Dan Clancy. He, the streamer community, we gave him a ton of flack because here's this guy coming in, and he never, for the first few months, he didn't use the product at all, and he's making decisions about how streaming should happen and this, that, and we kind of drew this comparison. Look, would Bezos not shop from Amazon.com? Like the guy's going to get his soap or something delivered from Amazon because he's the CEO and he wants to make sure that his stuff works, right? We've seen Satya talk about how he uses Windows. So, Dan, why don't you stream? Just do, it doesn't matter what you do. Just put
or
yourself
attend
out.
a stream.
Right. So Dan likes playing. He likes playing the piano, and so he started a series of, he calls them DJ Clancy streams, and it took a year for him to reach Twitch partnership levels,
Mm.
and here's the CEO now. He does regular weekly streams. The folks at Twitch kind of melt down when he streams because they don't know what's going on or if he's going to be able to get things set up right. Now that he's been doing it for a while, he's accustomed to it, and it's good to see that the leader of this platform, the Twitch platform, is using his own product. So
Yeah.
there's definitely a
called-
music community here.
It's called dog fooding.
Right?
Go do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to that. It'll
Cool,
probably
very cool.
be my regular Twitch channel. I don't really have a whole lot of followers yet, but
So those of you that are watching, I linked Carl's screen name there in the title. If you're watching on Twitch, you can click there, give him a follow, so that you know when it goes live.
and it's basically just going to be talking about audio, video, recording, podcasting, streaming, all of that stuff. So just about everything I know.
Very cool.
So, should we get started on this? What are we
We
talking about here?
should. So, okay. On the Blazor Puzzle podcast, we keep running into different oddities around, right, the various render modes in Blazor. WebAssembly, server side, static server rendered, and Carl, I feel like we've both hit just weird edges of things that feel wrong.
Well, it wouldn't feel so wrong if it wasn't sold. If Blazor 8 wasn't sold as you start with server side rendering, streaming rendering. There's no interaction. There's no web sockets. There's no WebAssembly, and then you can just sprinkle interactivity wherever you want. And that is cool, except that in the world of Blazor, we are used to statefulness. And it turns out statefulness goes away when you have one page that's rendered in WebAssembly, another page that's rendered in server, another page that's not rendered at all, doesn't have any interactivity.
Mixing and matching WebAssembly components on a server rendered page.
Yeah. So therein lies the problem. And I was talking about a bug, and we were talking about a bug. Well, that's not really a bug. See, the thing is, it's by design.
Yeah.
However, the design assumes that we know what we're giving up when we go to this dynamic rendering thing, right? And we had a problem with the if we do auto mode, that we weren't getting server interactivity until the WebAssembly stuff was all downloaded. And it turns out that's not quite fixed yet.
Yeah.
But it will be. But here's the thing. Now we've got these dynamic rendered pages and applications. And I learned this from Rocky Laka. Not only do cascading parameters not work, they go null, but any kind of stateful services, scoped services that you put in and inject will also go null, and they'll lose their state anytime there's a change in render mode.
So, okay.
And it kind of makes sense, right?
It does. And I just want to unwind a little bit there for folks that might not be up to speed on the Blazor stuff, right? So there's 5 different render modes. It's really 4, and there's a 5th one that's streaming. So you can choose where you want your website to run. Is it running on a server? Is it running in the browser? Is it running automatically deciding which one of those two to run on? And Carl's right. When you start jumping between these, and particularly that automatic one where it decides, yeah. So let me go to a couple comments here in chat. Apricot is here from Ukraine. Hope you're doing well and staying safe there, friend. Thanks for the happy partner anniversary comments. Here's a comment. Something that we've kind of run into both about hot reload. Pac-Mania TV says they're building a bigger project with WebAssembly, Mud Blazor, Sync Fusion, and disappointed in hot reload. How have you been doing with hot reload? Before we get into the product that the code that we're going to talk about.
Hot reload works when it works, and it doesn't when it doesn't. And I haven't really figured out what what makes it work or not work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it just doesn't.
I,
So
I have
that's my
more
experience.
success with it at the command line.
Oh yeah, right. If you're not debugging in Visual Studio,
Yeah.
but
And even
how does that work?
so I just leave a Windows terminal open, .NET Watch,
Okay.
and then as I'm coding in Visual Studio, save hot reload. Hot reload will either fire in the console or it'll rebuild and automatically refresh the screen.
And because in Visual Studio you have that little fire icon
I
at the
turn it
command
off.
line, do you have to do any kind of
Because
command to reload?
because I'm doing .NET Watch, it does the hot reload.
Hmm.
So
Okay. .NET Watch is the magic there.
yeah, and consequently, then because it's running at the command line, it works on Mac, it works on Linux, and I found actually that it works faster on my Linux machine.
Mm.
So Dopair here says that even the .NET Watch hot reload is not consistent. Agreed. It's not, but it's better than the Visual Studio one. There are times where I have to force it. You can do Control R as the hotkey in the terminal to force a reload of the page.
Okay.
So .NET 6, it's significantly worse than .NET 8. .NET 8 had a bunch of big improvements in there. So I do have the alerts turned off, but thank you so much for the resubs. I'll be making donations to the American Cancer Society for those.
Great. Somebody mentioned that your microphone is a lot lower than mine.
Yeah, I just pushed it up a little bit. I had it pulled back, so I'm not on my normal connections here. Yeah. So
as we learned last week.
Oh my gosh,
this is new stuff,
right? So moving things around. Okay, so let's talk about trying to solve this state issue, right? Managing state is something, Carl, I feel like we've been taking for granted going back to Windows Forms.
Oh yeah. Yep. We started both as I think you started as a VB developer, right?
I did. VB5 was my first entry to VB. Before that, just basic.
So, right. Yeah, me too. So obviously any kind of Windows application that you build has state, and we had to worry about things like disposing things because there wasn't any refreshing of memory and all that kind of stuff that you get when you go to the web. And web forms was the first kind of thing that made web programming more Windows Forms like, and then of course that had its own problems, but Blazor managed to fix all those things with a great architecture using sound and current and accepted tools like WebAssembly. And everybody by now should be not asking the question, is this going to go away like Silverlight? That is a dumb question.
Yeah.
And it has been answered many, many times. The answer is no, they're nothing like each other, even though as a programmer, it kind of looks the same.
And I keep telling folks, and we've had this conversation, I keep telling folks, you know what? I'd be pretty happy if it was Silverlighted, because it'd be sticking around for another 10 years. Like it was discontinued, but still supported for 10 years.
And actually, we can say in hindsight now that Microsoft's decision to not put any more effort into Silverlight was a great decision, because the platform underneath it that Silverlight was using was insecure, and all the browsers abandoned it. So this is the plug-in architecture that Java and Flash were built on, and it was very insecure. It wasn't that it was just, not good, not good to run on. It was a threat.
Yeah.
It was a threat vector.
And we also know now that the runtime that was built so that you could have a Silverlight plugin on all the various operating systems is what was lifted rebuilt a little bit and became the basis for .NET Core.
Mm.
So these things still live on. So,
yes, they do.
Manoj asking, how's the adoption of Blazor for internet and intranet apps? I don't have numbers on that. But that is something that folks ask a lot. Gosh, who's using this, and what's the adoption like? The push with .NET 8, because Blazor just runs everywhere, is you should really use Blazor for building all of your applications.
And, we're complaining a little bit about these dynamic render modes, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't use Blazor.
No,
Blazor still works great. It's right now, if you use global mode, which is the same as you were used to in .NET 5, 6, 7, and all of that. But so that works just fine. The real thing is this new sort of dynamic render mode stuff. It may catch you by surprise because, and as we showed in the Blazor puzzle a couple of times, you expect there to be interactivity everywhere, and you expect there to be state, and now we have to work around that. But can I show my screen and I'll sort of demonstrate this?
Yeah. There's another comment here. I'll go to your screen.
Okay.
Here we go. Look at the fancy transition.
Do I want a hat? Yes. This is my heat miser look. Ba-dum-dum-dum. Friends call me heat miser. This is I was too lazy to wash my hair this morning look.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so here we are in the corner. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see your screen. It's right up
there.
You
can see my screen. Oh, okay.
Yep.
So I'm starting with this repo right here, and I'm looking up because it's on a different monitor. But that is my my GitHub home, github.com/Carl Franklin. And I have this AppState WASM repo, and I also have AppState Server and AppState Auto. But this is assuming that you're using global interactivity mode, right? And I have, let me just get rid of this. So here there are detailed instructions as to how this works, how to put it together. So you can go there on your own time, but you end up with this project right here. Now, this is using global interactive WebAssembly mode, and you can tell it's global because if you go to AppRaiser, the head outlet, the render mode is set to interactive WebAssembly, and on routes, the render mode is set to interactive WebAssembly, and routes is the old AppRaiser, right? So routes, if we go to routes, where's my routes? Where's my routes? It's right. Come on, where are you?
Should be on the root.
Yeah. Oh, there it is, way down there. Okay, so
otherwise Control T, man, right?
yeah, I know. So anyway, here's the router, which matches a URL route to a component, a routable component, otherwise known as a page. And so it creates this route view using this layout right here, the default layout, main layout. And that's great. But this right here, this little magic here tells you that it's global mode. If you don't put that in there, then every page you want interactivity on, you have to add the render mode attribute to it.
Right. It's saying everything that's rendered inside of this and down the hierarchy is all that same mode. Okay.
Yeah. So we have this cascading app state component right there, which, if you remember in routes, is wrapped around the entire router, meaning it's a cascading parameter and available to all pages and components. And really, the code is in a code behind file here. Now, the first thing you see is that it's, it's implementing component base and also this app state. And so what I've done is I've created a little interface that just has the properties that I want to persist, a message string and a count int. And then I have an implementation that uses that.
Okay.
But also on app state, I want to implement those properties, right? So here's my message property, Here's my count property. And in the repo, it's a lot more complex than this because I add more features, but this is just the basic stuff, right? I have a loaded right there. And I'm not using that in this code, but in the actual assembly, in the repo, I use it for something else, but it
Okay.
doesn't matter. So anytime that anyone sets the message property, let's say, we force a re-render, state has changed. And that's simply so that we can access this single instance of this cascading parameter in different pages and in different components. And we're going to create a toolbar component, for example, that just shows the message across the top. And I'm getting the app state from the cascading parameter, right?
This feels very iProperty notify changed.
Yes. Yes. And it is iProperty notify change, but it's the Blazor way to do notify property change. In fact,
Yeah.
there is no property notification. There's right now, but there is in the repo that I showed you the link to.
Yep.
I go all the way through that. Not only that, but I persist the values in between page refreshes and reloads. So this is basically just going to show app state. Now I have in my home page also the app state parameter, cascading parameter. And I have a button, and when I click that button, I'm setting app state to message updated at whatever blah, blah, blah time. And now if this works, the toolbar should pick up that, oh, that changed, because anytime somebody mutates message, we're going to force a state has changed. So let's just watch and see what happens here. Now, remember, this is global interactive WebAssembly mode.
Right.
And that's really, really important. And there's no problem with state with global WebAssembly mode. So here we go. Boom. There it is.
Yeah.
Right. So the toolbar refreshes because of that state has changed. And
you passed it into message, state has changed, and okay, got it.
The counter also uses app state count. And this is the quintessential app state kind of demo, because if you don't persist that counter somewhere outside of the counter page and you go away and you come back, it'll be 0 again. But since app state is holding it, it doesn't get changed.
And that's
reinitialized.
That's an in-memory state management.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And it's all in memory on the browser because WebAssembly. Okay.
It's WebAssembly, right? And if we go to program, we can see that I've added interactive WebAssembly components here and interactive WebAssembly render mode here. This line right here basically gets the assembly that imports is in, which is app state WASM client, and it loads that assembly. It doesn't. Sometimes you'll see this in the template as counter or whatever, but if you use imports, that's probably not going to change. You're going to use that underscore imports anywhere, but you could yank the counter page out of your project,
exactly,
and then that won't work.
So before we go too much further, there was the way that you built the one page. You put all of your code in a code behind to go with it.
Yes.
There was a question that came through just a little bit ago that I think both of us kind of run into a bit. This is from Collateral Damage asking, why don't more teaching examples structure Blazor files correctly? I'm using air quotes there liberally, by separating the HTML and code and using something more like onion architecture.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we would definitely tell people that in the real world, you should have a style, that you adhere to. A coding style in a project architecture.
Yeah.
But it might be different from, company to company. So in demos, you typically see the path of least resistance.
Totally. And I'm a firm believer in managing the concept count in your brain. So if I have to hit page down twice to get through the markup before I can see the code,
Yeah.
I can't manage all of that, right? I
It's hard bouncing up and down. Yeah.
exactly. I can't page swap all that code. So put it into another file so that I can put the two next to each other in separate tabs.
Right.
If it is just one page or maybe 2 pages where one page is marked down, the next page, right? And I'm specifically talking about the scroll bar. If it's too much for me to scroll to see all of that on one page, break it out into a separate file because there's
Agreed.
too much
That's
going
good
on.
practice. It'll literally shave, minutes, if not hours, off of your coding day.
Just by
Maybe not
having
hours off of a day, but
minutes, but because you're not scrolling back and forth. Even if you
right.
split the editor, you're not seeing as much code at the same time.
Scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, your index finger scroll wheel, if your index finger hurts, you've got too much code on one page.
Yep.
All right. So let's
there's
show the problem.
Show the problem, yes, and then I'll go to our next question that we have after that.
Okay, I'm going to show the problem. If we simply take these out,
yeah,
now we are no longer in auto render mode, and therefore we have to add rendering to whatever page that we want. So the attribute is, geez, I can't even remember what it is. How do I do this again?
No, it's render mode.
Oh, render mode. Yeah, that's right.
The directive, yeah. And even then, it doesn't autocomplete quite correctly. Yeah.
So what is it? Interactive WebAssembly?
Interactive WebAssembly, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think it gave you the capitalization there correctly.
No? It should be this. No.
Yep, there we go. That's right.
I never remember this.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's also do this on counter because we need that.
So
right?
the rest of the website where it isn't decorated with that is going to be static server rendered.
Right. There will be no state.
Yeah.
But because I have, and this is kind of what I was thinking when I was, doing this. Okay, let's try this dynamic rendering and see what happens. Because this is what I think most Blazor developers, if they've been using Blazor for these last few years, are used to and would expect. Okay, this should work, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
And we want that first page, that landing page, to be static rendered because there's nothing interesting. Wait, what is this? What happened here?
Well, this landing page isn't static rendered, but here's the error. Open DevTools.
Right here above
I
us.
love Edge. No, I don't. I would much rather use Chrome for this, but console. Here we go. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. A null reference exception, right?
Yeah.
On home page Razor line 13. What's line 13? Oh, that's this. Oh, that's counter. Right there.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So trust me, I think that your instinct is to just put a null check there.
Yeah.
But when you go down that road, you're going to find out that it's never not null. It's always going to be null. So I will spare you that futile exercise.
That exploration.
Yeah. So let's say we do this. Let's say we take out the app state from here, right? We take out all this stuff. We could just take out this whole code block right here. Take all this out and just say hello, right? So now there's no way that the home page has any interactivity whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then let's go to counter. Okay, so good, everything, no problem here. Let's go to counter. Click. Oh, I can't even click. Look at that.
Yeah.
Null reference exception again. And this one on line 8 is right there, app state, and it will always be null.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can you make the routes page interactive WebAssembly? Then it would be global.
Then
mode.
it's global.
That's what we had. Yeah, that's then it's global, right? So, and I learned about this from Rocky Lotka and his thing, and he talked about it on .NET Rocks, and then I did a Blazor train with him. He said, "Carl, I want it all. I want what they promised, which was be able to sprinkle interactivity in your pages, but guess what? I also use stateful, scoped services, and I use cascading parameters, and you can't do both." Ah!
Not with the tools that they have that
Right, not
shipped
with the
in the
tools that they
box.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there were many changes to Blazor right
Yes.
in the last few
Yes,
months
yes.
before shipping.
And I'm sure this is gonna be fixed. So anything that I show is gonna be a stopgap at best. But here's what I came up with. And by the way, Rocky Lotka's solution is also a good one. He's added this sort of persistence to CSLA.net.
Okay.
All right, which is free, and that's his framework for developers that does everything. It's like the Swiss Army knife. But he showed in that Blazor train how to use CSLA.NET 8 to do what I'm going to show you here. That's in a dedicated component.
All right.
So first of all, I'm going to show you the app working. Okay. And here's my test right here. I've got all of the support libraries and stuff there, but let's not talk about those right now. I have this iApp state, which has got my message encounter. I have app state, which also has message encounter.
Okay.
And I don't have a cascading thing here. I've got no global, right? I don't have a
Okay.
cascading parameter. But what I do have is this component called app state provider that inherits my app state provider base of app state.
Okay.
And it also implements app state. I have my child content, and this is it. This is all you do. You have your properties that hang off of your, iApp state, message encounter. And for the get, you call get property value, which is in the base class of the type string. In the setter, you call set property value. Now, behind the scenes, let me tell you what's going on. All right. It's using gRPC. What happens is it the client, this base class serializes your message. Whenever we set a property value, it serializes the iApp state into an app state variable,
Okay.
turns it into a byte array, and sends that via gRPC to something that is on the server. Now, when I say on the server, I mean here in state test 1, right? So this is a
Right.
WebAssembly application. We have a server component and we have a client component. So I'm sorry, did I hang on, where are we? App state provider. This is probably a good time to pause because you said there were more questions.
There's other folks that are asking questions around Blazor, some other comments.
Mhm.
Deflux streams here comments that they saw a different oddity where they had everything marked interactive server and their CDN pushed everything static.
Wow.
That feels like a misconfiguration with the CDN where
it does.
right it should be pushing the right the WebSocket connections back to the primary server.
But CDNs are static by default.
Right.
Yeah.
But the WebAssembly connection should be calling home, not to the CDN.
Right. So I'm seeing a bunch of messages here that they're saying gRPC seems like overkill for state management. And yeah, it is, but you could use an API controller. But the fact of the matter is, here's why you need this kind of thing. Every time you switch render boundaries, okay, home has no rendering, counter has interactive WebAssembly rendering, let's say weather or some other page has server rendering. Every time you switch between those pages, you're going to lose your cascading parameters, and you're going to lose your scoped services, right? So you need something
It needs to
that
go
has
somewhere.
the source of truth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you want to hold it in state, you can't hold it on the client. I mean, WebAssembly, it might work because you could, but
Sure.
how much, uh, you know,
As soon as
but what
you
happens if you go to server? Where does it go then?
exactly. As soon as
So you need something that'll work in all these render modes.
so you could certainly do JSON rendering back and forth, but we know gRPC is really fast. It's really simple.
Mhm.
So why not
Mhm.
use gRPC if it's so easy to configure and set up? So let's
Yeah,
use
and
that.
here's the thing. I've hidden all that from you. Like
Exactly.
with the program CS setup, you have to add some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Easily fixed with one line of code with an extension that you can add all the setup you need. But the end result is that it just works,
Right.
and it works everywhere. So let's show it working. Now remember, this is not global mode. And what did I do? I have it running on the wrong screen. All right. So here you go.
And all C#, no JavaScript involved here.
That's right. So here's my counter. I'll increment the counter. I'll go back. There's the counter. I update the message, blah, blah, blah.
And it comes back and it stays.
All right. So we have state. And you, as the programmer, don't have to do any of the plumbing. You just have to create your own
State up.
state
No.
component. Now, yeah, so let's talk about where we put this. Like if you look at counter,
Yeah,
there we
where's
go,
app
counter.
state provider included? There
you
it is.
go.
Okay.
So I have a reference to app state provider here. I've got my app state provider component with a reference to it. And then I simply show the data. When I update the message, I just say app state message equals blah, blah, blah. Simple. The only thing that's different is now you have to wrap your page or whatever your page is around this app state provider. Can you do it as a cascading parameter? No, you can't, because it's going to not persist. So the magic
Right.
behind this is, yeah, we have multiple pages with multiple instances of app state provider, but there's only one source of truth. On the server side, there's a static dictionary of string for the client ID and byte array that holds the state for you. And so it uses JavaScript to get a GUID. If it doesn't have a GUID, it has a notification service so that you can get notified through an event callback when state has changed. And it also, you can do persistence as well. So questions. I'll take gRPC service over hacking it with JavaScript. Yeah, and JavaScript works fine until you're on the server, and mutating the state on the server, and then you're on the client. Now you have the opposite problem. So it's best to just keep it in one place.
So how does Mr. Couture asks, well, how does the HTML talk to the WebAssembly? It doesn't. The WebAssembly generates and paints the HTML.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, here's a good question from Collateral Damage. How long are you remembering state?
So let me get into it here. These three libraries up here, I don't have Zoom it installed, but I could probably put that in there. Whatever. So these three libraries here, gRPC state client, gRPC state service provider, and state notification library are the things that do it. So the state service provider runs on the server, the state client runs on the client. So if I look at state service provider, we've got a server-side state bag that has this static dictionary, right, of byte arrays. And so that lives as long as the server lives. Now you can persist that on the server if you want, per client, right at the disk. You could do that. This right here is the gRPC service, app state transport service.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if you've ever done gRPC, you know that it's a code generator yada yada. The proto file is actually in the client project along with the JavaScript. So this is just basically taking that data, serializing it, and returning it. And you get this app state message, which is defined in the proto file, which is
Yep, down one more. There it is, right under your cursor.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so you have the app state message, which has the client ID and an error message, and then bytes, which is an array of bytes. And so that's how you get it back.
Okay, so feedback time.
Yes.
Right now, you're storing the data in a dictionary in memory.
Yes.
So it's a it's a single-threaded dictionary.
Yes.
That could be a problem. Single-threaded
Could be. Yep.
But what if we implement, and a little bit to collateral damages point, what if we implemented iMemory cache?
Very cool idea. Yeah.
Then we could specify expiration durations, and we could even push it to have this, instead of connecting to a dictionary, connect to iMemory cache, and then we can specify like a Redis cache.
Yep.
At configuration time, and now it'll work on a distributed collection of servers.
Yeah, that's great. Like I said, this was I don't know if I said it, but I developed this as a proof of concept,
Yeah.
you know, and the fact that, you know, this is up for debate is wonderful. I love that, because yes, it can definitely be improved.
Sure. Right. And it is
built upon.
Is the project open source?
It is, although I have to put an MIT license on it.
Okay.
This is just something that I haven't done yet. But
So
yeah, it's completely open source.
If you're watching on Twitch, there's a link at the top of chat to the GitHub repository, so you can click through and get access to it. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to share the link again. There you go.
I got it right on the screen right now. Oh no, that's the old one. Hang on.
I posted the link in chat.
Okay.
That link that you just showed on screen.
Well, this is the one. This is the one for my gRPC state service provider. The first one was for the WASM demo in global mode that I showed.
Is there a link in there for it? Love the screenshots and the code samples on that repository. Really good stuff to show and talk through this solution.
I just posted the link there.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So folks should have that. Yep.
Which client is doing the interaction? Yeah, let me show you how that works. On the client, I have some JavaScript that just has two functions, set cookie and get cookie. And I actually went around with this because they changed. This is a Razor class library, gRPC state client, and they changed the way that you can use JavaScript in that and load it dynamically. And so I had to build this JavaScript loader that loaded the JavaScript directly, and that happens in app state provider base on load. Right, I have to load the JavaScript from that, and then I get a cookie, and if you know the cookie's there, great. If it's not there, we create a cookie and save it, and it's just a GUID, right? It's just a GUID, my ID. And so that on the server side state bag is how we find your state.
So wait, can you go back to the JavaScript loader code for a second?
Yeah, sure. Got too much stuff up here.
Okay, so you're extracting the embedded JavaScript and evaluating. You couldn't do the
JavaScript is embedded.
You couldn't do the dub root and
I tried that. I tried everything.
And, okay.
I was fighting it all the way. It was fighting me. So this is what I came up with, and you know, with ChatGPT's help. There it is, JavaScript loader, and it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I went around and around. I mean, I have other Blazor.NET 7 Razor class libraries that I
Yeah.
use, and they work fine with just having the JavaScript file there, and you refer to it by the path.
Underscore
This
contents,
didn't load it.
blah, blah, blah. Wow.
It wouldn't load.
Huh. Okay. But hey, yeah, half dozen lines of code to do the same thing.
Mm,
Good stuff.
yeah.
There's a couple more good questions coming through there in
Yeah.
chat. Dopair asking, is there an alternative to ASP.NET client-side validation for Blazor for pure JavaScript?
Sure. I mean, you can use WebAssembly, but the whole idea is for this to be agnostic for your render mode. So you might be running in server, you might be running in WebAssembly, and it might be static. So
For
JavaScript is your best bet.
well, I'm trying to get some more context on what the question is, but I don't
I
think
think he means instead of you creating the cookie in JavaScript, can use WebAssembly.
I don't think he's
I
referring to
think
that.
that's what he meant.
I
No?
thought he was just referring to just the standard ASP.NET client-side validation that we do in MVC or Razor pages.
Oh, okay.
Can right?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Don't want to round trip to the server for client-side validation. So if you are doing WebAssembly with Blazor, you can decorate your model with the various attributes, just like we had in ASP.NET MVC and Razor pages. And if you use an edit form to wrap, it will do validation, and you can use the validators and validation summary and whatnot, and it'll perform all of that in WebAssembly on the client. No JavaScript needed.
Yeah.
Does gRPC require any server operating system configuration, like turning on HTTP2? Well, collateral damage asking that question.
It says gRPC Web is what I'm using. So we're using port 80.
Right, but the gRPC has a requirement of HTTP2, HTTPS, the secure transport. So yeah, how are you on port 80 then?
Well, gRPC Web is an implementation of gRPC that works in the browsers.
I got you.
And and it's just as fast and just as good. And basically the configuration is you do a server-side configuration like so. You add gRPC, right?
Yep.
You then use gRPC Web, and then you use the map gRPC service. And on the client, you have to do this. You have to add a scoped HTTP client, which used to be in all of the templates, but it's not. But it's the same as we would do if we were making a Blazor in .NET 7 WebAssembly app. On the client, you would have this HTTP with the base address set to the server. And then you have to add this stuff. This is the goo for making your gRPC client work. And one thing that I'm going to do is wrap all this stuff up in a single, use gRPC
extension method.
Yeah. So you don't have to do that. But the only thing that you'd have to provide to it is the base address, because here's the deal. If you're in auto mode, right, you have to do this stuff on the server as well, because the server will be a client, right? So I'm just basically making it work everywhere, and it is a NuGet package. So if you include, this isn't using the NuGet package, but you can just use the NuGet package in both your client and server projects. It's all in the repo. So
Johan's asking, does that use jQuery validation? No jQuery validation
No.
if you do the Blazor edit form stuff. I'm getting confused. gRPC Web hosts gRPC services from the browser. right?
Yes. Well, it does. The services run on the server side, but it is a client implementation, and on the server, it's a server implementation that uses port 80
Okay.
instead of it doesn't use HTTP 2, which is oft not supported.
Various proxies and whatnot block and
Yeah.
run into that.
Yeah, gRPC web uses HTTP 1.1. Yep, that's right.
So Amal on YouTube's asking for the link again. I'll copy and paste
There
that.
it is.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
So,
So yeah, before I went public with this, which I plan to do, I just wanted to, get as much feedback from you guys as I possibly can, about, take it for a spin.
yeah.
Let me know how it works for you. Suggestions, things that could be different. I mean, I got the big suggestion was this, the on the server side, the state bag. That could be anything. Yeah.
Make that a memory cache, and then you can set it to expire if
A memory cache,
if they haven't been
Redis.
touched, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And typically how you can do it on the client is you can, if there is state when you run it, when you're running again, you can do your expiration stuff on the client side too. Like
Yep.
you could tell it just to ignore it if a certain amount of time has passed, right?
yeah. And I like that you're keeping it on the server instead of trying to.
Yeah.
With ClipTalk, I stored preferences in the browser using app storage. So even if you navigated away and you came back, it remembered your theme preferences, your sort order that you liked, blah blah blah. So the last how many channels you searched for or whatever. So while that was nice, it was a pain in the neck to manage. And if folks turned off cookies in their browser, none of that worked. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's only a little bit of space on the server. I like that.
The main goal is to make it as easy as possible for the developers to use this. Okay, just wondering why you need to have app state provider wrap the content. Couldn't you just implement it as a component on the page? Yeah, I suppose you're right, but yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that.
So, but by doing it the way that you have it, go back to so there's
But
app
there
state
isn't any
provider.
reason to have anything inside of it. What he's saying is, as long as you did, this, you wouldn't need this, right?
But go back over to the source to app state provider as well.
Right. So app state provider base, or my app state provider.
Yours,
my
yeah,
app
your
state provider.
implementation.
Yeah. So that does have child content, but I think you're right that we don't need that because it's not a cascading parameter.
But you could put wrap child content with a cascading parameter, and it's right and have that be a rich object that is your state.
You can't use cascading parameters. That's because the state of those is managed by .NET and it breaks. So that's the whole point. So I think what they're saying is take this stuff out, and I don't have to use it as a wraparound in counter. Just like that. That's all I need. Just somewhere on the page, and then it should work.
Work the same.
The same. Yeah. Because a cascading parameter needs to know about the child content, the render fragment, but this doesn't. It's just providing state. Oh, we have a problem, Houston.
Right, where I was going is you could be passing that state into all the child content. The child content of that state provider is all going to be rendering in the same location.
Okay, where am I? Okay, yeah. Because the app state provider, Razor, Doesn't have a child content in the base.
The base is looking for.
Does. Yeah. No? What the hell? What am I missing here?
Let's look at the
folks?
source code again. The error report.
It was that there's no child content. So let me just search for child content in the project.
Go across the solution.
It must be up here in app state provider base. Yeah. Let's go across the solution. All right. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the error? And it's at what
App
location?
state provider does not have a property matching the name child content.
Something didn't build.
Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe I got to do a clean. Look at all those script documents that just passed through my brain.
Oof.
Do a clean and a rebuild.
Yeah.
Rebuild all succeeded. But it was a runtime error. Well, anyway, you guys didn't come here to watch me debug. It's still
No,
not
actually, this is one of the things that we like about live coding. Xbox One Online suggests you're using app state component on the counter page, and you have content inside the component.
Yeah, I took that out, remember?
Scroll down, keep scrolling. No. Wasn't there another page that had it? But you didn't access that page.
Yeah, no, but in this one, home
it's in the header because of the update message.
What header? Where?
You're getting the message in the layout to put up in the header of the page.
No. Oh, toolbar, perhaps. That's where it is. Yes, that's right.
There you go.
All right, sorry. Yeah, I knew there was another one here. I just there.
And it reloaded this one. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's all I need. Whew.
There we go.
I like this better. Yeah, I don't like having to wrap stuff. Okay, come on.
That's all right. All right. Object reference not set to an instance. Toolbar line 7.
Toolbar line 7.
Because it's not loaded yet.
Yes, loaded would be true at this point. On after render.
Throw a question mark on that one.
This?
So, no, on line 7, app state question mark dot message.
Right.
Just to see if it's a transient thing.
Okay.
Like, really?
Line 16. So this is counter razor, line 16.
Yeah.
Same thing. Do we have to do this everywhere? Okay.
Because it's not wrapped, app state hasn't rendered yet and it hasn't painted.
There we go. Okay, upstate message didn't work. The counter didn't work. All right, so we have problems.
Well, hang
with
on.
that.
When you clicked increment, it brought it back.
Well, when I click increment, it works, but if I go
Right,
here
so
and back,
you left it at
it's
7.
nothing.
Click increment again. And
Oh, I see.
it's
It's just not
there.
painting it.
The paint didn't come through. The rendering, so the rendering from the component,
Yeah.
the app state provider component. Okay.
Right. And that makes sense because when you have it around a, content, then it renders.
Yes.
If I just have this here, there's nothing for it to render.
Right. And there's no content for.
Right. All right. So I think we'll leave it as is for now.
Okay.
But that's a good idea. I mean, any way that we can simplify, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I ask that question all the time. Do I have to do this everywhere? Yeah. If you have to do it everywhere, it's probably the wrong solution.
So I get into this. I'm in an argument right now with somebody on a GitHub issue around, and they're complaining about the magic of program CS, the magic of configuring the startup, and they don't like that everything's hidden and underneath these keywords.
Right.
And I don't care if it's hidden underneath a keyword and makes it easier for us to do things, but if you're going to hide things behind a keyword, you need to also give us as developers some tooling, some information when we do things wrong.
Right.
Throw an exception when things are in the wrong order, things are in the wrong place, or make it smart enough so that it does know how to do things properly. So things like you're showing here where, I kind of agree with your initial sentiment of, I don't want to do null check app state ? Dot counter. I agree.
Just because for someone else's plumbing, right? I'm asking you, the developer, to, appease the compiler from my tool.
Yeah. No, we don't want to do that.
No way.
So
Redux pattern solves the state issues, but it's a big beast. I did a Blazor train on that too, and I came to the same conclusion. It's kind of overkill, but it's overkill for the developer. This I think is a sophisticated system on the back, down under, but for the developer, it's just drop dead easy.
Yeah, it just
and it kind of gets around any future issues with nulls and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. What I don't have is a solution for scope services, so it's just for cascading parameters.
That makes sense, though. Like, I'm okay with that.
Well, Blazor, that's kind of the way you do it. But there are things that require scope services, right?
Yeah.
But now if you have a solution like this for a scoped service, that means you'd probably have to have a base class that does what my, app state provider base does just for a regular DLL. If it's going to communicate back to the server and all that stuff, you'd have to implement this stuff down below, and using base classes is meh.
But what if we could do that with just an inherits statement up at the top, an inherits directive for the page, and instead of having to put a component on the page, you just put a directive, inherits app state provider, and everything's wired up, because now that it's inheriting from your base class, like we were just saying, we can inject and get the data as onInitialized happens, so that those stateful objects are available for you.
That's a good idea. So let's think about that.
I mean, it's a throwback to web forms and base web page.
So app state provider base, right?
Yeah.
Is the base class for my app state.
Yeah.
That is in the client that,
and that
inherits from components, component base. So it could work. Yeah. So what you're saying is, let's say we have counter here.
Right.
Instead of adding this as an outside reference,
yeah,
we could just say inherits app state component. Come on. Component base of app state.
Yeah.
And then, or does it implement app
No,
state provider?
inherits.
I think it's app state provider.
Well, app state provider is your implementation.
Right. But now I've got, base.counter instead of this.
Yes.
Don't need that. We could just say private app state equals base app state.
Yeah.
Or is it just there? Do I even need that? Can I just change this to capital app state? What's in the base here? No, it's just this message. It's just message. It's just counter and message because it's already part of the base class. Counter. Message.
And that simplifies things significantly.
That really simplifies things if it works.
And if it doesn't, there's minor tweaking that could be done. But even in your app state provider, you're not adding significant value on those stateful properties.
I think I know what the problem is. Counter. Oh, okay. I think because I called it counter in my app state. And I have a counter page. Now we have two counters. So I think what I would do is
can you just
change that to count? And change this to count. And in my app state provider, change that to count. And now in that counter, I'm going to just
change current count at counter to at count.
At count, yes.
And the increment.
And here,
yeah.
I think that's the problem. Let's see. Name collisions are hard. But I like this. I like this line of, I like where you're going with this. Okay.
App state transport client. That feels like.
I think all this is because of. Now we're loading this stuff in here. Hoy. Might get messy.
It might. I see a couple more questions here that I want to go to. Pacmania TV asks, when I use Blazor local storage, can I encrypt local data? Sure, but why? Like, the fact that you want to encrypt somebody's local data, that's a code smell to me. What are you trying to hide on somebody's browser?
So you can do it in Blazor server. You can use the secure local storage that they have, but that's only because there's a server to encrypt and decrypt it.
Right.
But if you're just using regular local storage, you're asking for trouble, I think.
Why? Because the privacy question is going to be, what are you encrypting and hiding on my machine, on my disk?
Right. And why wouldn't you just do it on the server?
If you do need to store some sort of preference, private information on my machine, it's already protected by the browser, by the domain. You can't domain hop and grab something from somebody else's domain. That's a cross-site scripting type of issue. DGen1 asking, can this be used in Tags app? Yes, I think we're definitely going to use this in Tags app because some of these stateful pieces of information that you're passing back and forth are going to become very valuable. on the moderation screen, particularly where I've purposely saved this bit of work where I want to control, I want to remember, here's the filters that you've applied to do moderation. Only show me content from Twitch and Twitter. Don't show me YouTube content. I want to show me only content that needs to be moderated. Those filters, persist those on the server because I'm rendering everything with WebAssembly and push back and forth. So definitely can be used in that. Would be cool if you could use source generators to avoid putting the burden on the developer, says Chuck.
That's pretty cool too.
That is cool. I like the idea of just putting a directive so that we're basically saying persist the state of this page.
But as you saw, then now we're running into scoping issues when we do that. But that's a direction that I think I would go to. I have to figure it out, but I think I can do that.
Xbox One Online says every component then will have its own instance of the app state provider and not be shared between components. Or am I missing something?
No, you're not missing anything, and that's an astute observation. You do have multiple instances of app state provider. However, there's a notification service that keeps things in sync, right? So when one component mutates the app state, which there's a single source of truth, right, on the server, then it notifies all the other components through this notification service, and that all happens on the back end, underneath the hood, so you don't have to worry about it. I mean, the whole the only way to do a component that is one instance and shared between all other instances is cascading parameter, and those don't work.
They don't work when you jump render modes.
When you jump render modes, Yep.
So, hey, thank you for the kind wishes. The Devil Kid and is it Habale de Oro? Welcome. Thank you so much.
And Brigglesworth.
Yeah.
Brigglesworth sounds like a UK name, doesn't it?
It does. And I've been sadly watching and paying attention. I've become a Wrexham football fan over the past 2 years.
Neat.
Like I was kind of watching that team from afar because Rob McElhenney, It's Always Sunny from Philadelphia, we know here in the States. Oh, I just lost your screen.
Yeah, I just turned it off.
Okay,
because I think we're kind of done over there.
Yeah, we can step back. When the news came out in Philadelphia that, hey, Philadelphia's own bought a soccer team, we all kind of paid attention, and now, of course, I'm calling it properly a football team, a football side, no, a football club, and then the whole thing with Ryan Reynolds and the documentary series came out, and yeah, I've been glued to it. So thank you for the cheer, Based Ninja, and the kind words. I'll make another donation to the American Cancer Society. So it's the dog's name. Brigglesworth is a dog's name, named a dog, Indiana.
Mr. Brigglesworth, come here. It's dinner time. Time for your supper.
Yeah.
Come on, Mr. Brigglesworth.
No Diff makes a good point here. Generally, though, favoring composition over inheritance.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And anytime you require the user to inherit from a base class to do something, that's a problem. Because what if we already have a base class? You're screwed. There's no multiple inheritance in .NET.
No, so yeah. Because we want to attach to the onInitialized event, right? To load everything and pick up the injections. You're right. But including that component, I mean, I guess including the component at the top of the page.
That's what Blazor's all about. You just include components.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more interested in figuring out how to avoid wrapping, to just put a component on the page and give me access to it. Yeah. Or for that matter, just maybe not as a component, but just as a DLL, perhaps.
It's a service hanging
Just
out
have
there.
basically initialize it. So you'd have your app state provider, and you initialize it on initialized, and then you can use the properties on it. That's a possibility too. Does it need to be a component?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Could it just be a class hanging around?
But these are all things that we can explore.
Totally.
But it's a good start, I think. And if you really are interested in this kind of thing, then go to the repo and think about it and give me a pull request and
Create an
say,
issue.
here, how about this? Yeah, create an issue.
Start the discussion.
Yep.
So we've been going for about an hour and a half now. How are you doing on time? Do you need to run?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm okay.
All right.
Yeah, I got a little more time.
Yeah, I can't go too long today. I do have. I'm departing this evening for Europe. So.
All right. Well, we can wrap it up pretty soon.
Yeah. So we've got another Blazor puzzle we're going to record this week.
Yep.
We're getting word of Dev Intersection event coming up this spring. All good things.
Yep.
Love hearing that.
I'm supposedly, Richard's going to push for me to get an advanced. You're doing like an introduction to Blazor workshop, right?
Yeah. So we do the Blazing Pizza workshop.
And I think I'm pushing for an advanced Blazor workshop.
Okay. Cool.
So that'd be cool.
Johan asking, departing for Europe, what will I be doing in your neck of the woods? I'll be speaking at Svetog in Stockholm.
Svetog.
Yeah.
Svetog.
So Thindal, if Thindal is still there, I thought I saw Thindal earlier. They're speaking at the event also. I'm going to meet Thindal in person. So,
wow.
Yeah. Blazing Pizza on Microsoft Learn needs upgrading from 6 to 8. We are working on that right now. We are literally working on that right now. Dan Roth and I are editing and hacking away on it. The challenge with that, and we've touched on this several times with Carl and I, it's hard to decide where to draw the lines for where the interactivity is. And
yeah,
this state management helps
have
solve
to fix
some
this.
of that.
And who knows, maybe this is the fix, right? Maybe we just use this, but there are other serious problems that, you want state, but you want islands of interactivity. And how do you do those two things? It's a bigger question than just state.
There's a persist component that serializes content as JSON in an HTML comment that WASM should be able to pick up and read. It's a little bit ugly, I'm not gonna lie.
And also, does it cross render modes?
It will cross from server to WebAssembly, but it doesn't go from WebAssembly back to server. So if you do something in WebAssembly, how do you push back and update it on the server?
Right.
Now you got to put a server in place. Hey, guess what? Now we're right back where you are.
Right.
So.
Well, anyway, I do actually have to go because my wife is texting me that I really need to meet the furnace guy. There's a guy cleaning our furnace today, and she says I really have to meet him, and he's waiting. So.
Alrighty. Well, thanks so much, Carl.
This has been great.
Great seeing you. This was fun, and I'll catch you. We'll talk and do our recording later this week, and I'll catch you next time.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Alrighty. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
And back over to chat. Yeah, for some reason. There you go. Hang on. I think I just pulled. There we go. All right, bye. I think even though it said backstage, you could still hear him. Is the repo public? Can anyone share a link to it? Yes. So Carl shared a link to it several times there in chat. So I'm going to drop from here. End the stream together. Yes, I clicked the button. Thank you. And now my camera's a little bit happier with me. Nope, he's out. And you can see the link for the GitHub repository for the sample that he showed right up top. There's another link to the actual code for the component. I'm scrolling back trying to find it. Hey, Cyrelash, thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you, everybody, for the kind words. There it is from Carl. I will copy and reshare the link. This is the app state provider that he's working on. And it missed the H in HTTP. There, that's a better link. All right. So, definitely something that I think we can use in Tags app. I need to figure out exactly where we're going to drop it into Tags app. And I feel like what we were doing around the moderation screen is going to receive and handle a bit of that. I've got about another hour and a half, I believe. Just going to check my schedules here. I have my Microsoft schedule set to out of office all day today. Oh, that's funny. Yes, there it is. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you. All right. No, we're good. We're good. We're all right. That looks fine. Okay. So, nope. Let me do this. Let me pop open a terminal. Let's go back into Tags app and take a look. I'm really far through this. I got a bunch of things fixed and moved and running. I got all of the features for the what's it called? Oh, geez. For the moderation screen. Other than, like I was saying, the searching, the filtering, that isn't completely done yet. However, the waterfall works. We need to wire up the overlays, but everything else at this point is pretty well working. Am I using M365 Copilot? Yes, I am, and I'm okay on it. Let me pull the latest here, and then I'll go over to the code, and we can talk more about where things are and get this. Yeah, good. It is up to date, and we can talk a little bit more about some of these fixes and actually do some Blazor coding here today. Oh, come on. That's better. Yeah, let's head over to full screen code. Ta-ta-ta. that's still muted. There, I'm not muted. Let me get some music playing in the background also. I do like having music in the background. What can I tell you? Dun, 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 dun. Yes.
Ridge Raider 42 just resubscribed for 2 months.
Thank you so much. 2 months with us, and I'll make another donation to the American Cancer Society. Thank you so much for that support. Here we go. There's the Hello World, logging in and getting things started here. I'm going to go to the Synthwave playlist, and this sounds fun. Liquid Vinyl. Once again, DMCA free music you can listen to anywhere you'd like. Check it out. Streambeats.com. Big thanks to Harris Heller and his team of creators for this music we're listening to today. Thank you, the Lazarus, for the kind words there. Jumping in. Yeah. Logging in. And that's not going to work. Really? The secret keys for my app in the Azure portal have expired. Well. Because I tried to log in with a app that's configured in Active Directory, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, Entra ID, fine. So, go to my app registrations. No. There we go. I forget which one it's called. I think it's... Yeah, there, look, expired. You can't see it, it's behind my head. So I've got a bunch of these that are expired because they're demos that no longer does. But that's the one right there, I believe. And yes, create a new one, please. Secret ID, sure. Fine. Dev, website, secret, Feb 2024. Sure, 6 months. There it is. There's the value. You can't see the entire value. And I'll go back over here. I'm going to step away from that screen briefly. And I'm going to go back and manage my secrets for this. Manage user secrets. Ta-da! Microsoft client secrets. Paste. Save that value. And back over to the website. I'll back up. No. You know what? Just to be safe, let's rebuild. And copy something else onto my clipboard so I don't inadvertently paste it somewhere that it shouldn't be. Okay. So why didn't let's open. Come on. Yep, login, Microsoft. Come on now. Get me logged in there. There we go. All right. So the moderation screen works. Ta-da! And there's our messages from Twitch and Mastodon. Those are the only two I have configured. And we can click into these, right? I don't like how it takes so long to load. This page is WebAssembly, yes. But I can approve, I can reject, and it properly says those messages there as we approve and reject. If I do approve, it does appear on the waterfall screen. Right, so if I reject, no. Reject. It doesn't remove it right now from over here. We need to wire up and do some of that, it looks like. Is it going to put it through? Also, the pause button isn't working. So it isn't pushing the update immediately onto the waterfall screen. So we've got some SignalR work to do there. Not hard, but we have to do it. But it is WebAssembly, yes. And we need to wire up the pause button. And also, I added a counter. Check this out. I added a little counter so that you would know how many messages were paused. So I need to go through and figure that out. Also, look, the resizing of these things is just wrong. That's not right. Right? Yeah, that's better. But somehow it, like, got out of control there. If I had the same app in React, would I have an easier life? No. I wouldn't. Because I'm still going to run into the same types of component rendering issues. This app was all JavaScript previously. It was. And the rendering and pushing around issues of data and how things paint and update, I'm still going to run into the same things. You're just moving it from this technology to that technology. Hey, Eagle. No, I am not live in Stockholm. No. I fly this evening. So I'm actually about 11 hours from departure time. So thank you, Anonymous. Hello. Appreciate it. Does component rendering work the same way on React with the same render tree? I can't speak for React. Because I do Blazor. I'm not really... React doesn't have the same server and client-side mix of rendering like Blazor does. So I'm confident I can say no to that. Who's going to hold hats at the conference? I'm only in Sweden for 36 hours, so I might only bring 2 hats. So, and it also feels like the resize didn't quite give enough space at the bottom of those. Yeah, that's better. See, look, why is it making this first one so big? So there is a bit of JavaScript that's doing that resizing. I know, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I think I need to bring the Super C#. That's kind of like a trademark hat. Also, that only 2 message didn't push. Yeah, they're good. But why it's not resizing these as they're coming in. I'll need to look at that. Let me roll back over. So the waterfall page should be updating and pushing new messages on here as they're approved. So let's take a look at that. So there's the waterfall layout, which purposely removes the footer from the page. And this is interactive server for the outside of the page. And each one of the so it includes the actual content wall at that point, which is here. And this is interactive auto. So it'll get to WebAssembly. No, I'm not in the Speakers Hotel. No. They the earliest that I could fly out is today, is Tuesday. I couldn't get a second day at the event. So I'm going to I was my travel is not booked so that I can make any of these speaker events. So all of the speaker socialization, I'm not a part of. So, yeah, it was some combination of travel costs, hotel costs. So I don't remember the specifics. Doesn't matter. So what we're not doing here, there's the hub connection. When it receives content, it should add it to the waterfall. And then state has changed so that it displays the content. Yes, I'll be. I don't even know this. I know the Speaker Hotel. I don't have my reservation information, so I guess I'm supposed to just like walk up and say, "Hi, I'm Jeff. You have a room for me?" But I have all that information from the conference organizers. So, but I land in Stockholm tomorrow at 1:30. By the time I get to the hotel and everything, it's not going to be till like 2:30. So I'll go to there's a what's it called? There's an attendee social event tomorrow evening that I'll be at. But that's about it. You just showed up, said, "Hi, I'm Jeff, let me in." Yeah, there you go. Where do I call start signal or hub? Right there. On initialized async. So it starts it connects, and we should get it calling receive content here from the message hub. So let's go to the message hub. Oh, Visual Studio. Really? You're not going to open? Thank you. I need the one. That'll work. On connected, format overlay group name, format existing content for tag, send a message to overlay. This one we need to look at also, but the messaging service. Where is it? The signaler notifier. Yeah. So when there is new content, oh, I don't like that name. Group on the hashtag call new waterfall message. So that's not it. It should be called new waterfall message. And it's going to receive a block of content as type content model. Yep. I bet that was it. There it is. Just rebuilt. So, hey, Billy, thank you so much. Don't I hook it 2 times in the on method? Do I hook it 2 times in the on method? No. No. So that's over here. So if I take this and I approve Billy's message, it should have flowed through to there, but I bet it didn't. It was... So if I reject, that shouldn't remove. I don't have the remove wired up. Not pushing it through. Interactive mode with pre-rendering will call it twice, but the first state will be lost. Yes. Connection on. So go back to the... Where is it? Signal or notifier. Oh, wait a sec. Yeah. Moderation service. If moderation enabled. Yeah. Notify when it's approved. Groups for that hashtag. Oh, wait a sec. Am I not listening for the hashtag? Yeah. I'm not. So it's connecting to Message Hub on connected. I'm not passing through the tag. So we need to do T equals... tag tracked. I don't think it has that. It says editor required, so it should be coming. Well, maybe we do have it. I'm gonna force it. Thank you, President. Not sure. Yeah. There we go. So rendering moderation, good. Okay. So if we take this one from Billy, mark it. Did not push it. Man. I know it approved that and it saved it. It's right there. And see how it resized it? I feel like that resize. See? Have a good one, Code with Sean. I think the resizing is happening every time it renders. And that's going to be painful on the browser. So I know it's passing it through because it approved, right? If I go moderation hub. Yep, that one. So it calls a method up here. Set status. And it calls moderate. So here it is in the Postgres. Make sure that if there is an existing moderation action, clear it out, set the moderation action, notify approved content. There it is right there. going to call it again. Oh, notify approved content and then notify new content. Okay, Sean. Is it better to use dispose or dispose async even without IO? Depends. Depends. If you have async methods that you're disposing, dispose async. If you don't, if the disposal of your object is something that's going to need to run asynchronously, dispose async. But yes, for most cases, iDisposable is what you want. It sure looks like it should be calling, well, notify new content. That was Mastodon. I thought I had it muted. Yeah, thank you for the folks that are boosting and promoting the C# in the Cards episode that was just published. Yeah, seeing a bit of good viewership on that in the first 12 hours that it's been available. So, thank you. Talking about loops in this week's episode. And I am going to be picking up speed and producing more of those more quickly. I'm just jammed up with a little bit of things going on around here right now. Yeah, cool. All right, so it should be sending new waterfall message to everybody on the message hub. Let's do a console write line here just to make sure that we see it's doing it. Sending new waterfall message for content. Now let's just put the text of it so that we see what it is. Right? There we go. So let's approve. Does not appear to have flowed through. Doesn't look like it called the method. Okay. Let's keep walking back here. So we should be down in here where it's notifying content. No, that's in there because when I'm on moderation screen, I'm seeing your new content arrive. It's definitely in the SignalR notifier. It's in the top up here. It's not going to call this one because moderation's enabled. For tag. Oh, stupid. Come on, Fritz. Hashtag. Okay, receive the messages. Right. So approve that. Did not flow through. Sending new waterfall message for tag.net for content. Okay. It tried to send the message. Do we have an error on the console or something? No. Okay. New waterfall message. Let's make sure capitalization is all on the up and up. That looks good. Content ad state has changed. So that should log in the console over here. I'm going to restart that just. Gavin's awful stream. Oh, Gavin, it can't be that bad. How you doing there? No, did not receive the message. Okay. Let's take a look at the network. No. Show me the WebSockets. Interesting. I don't see it actually connecting. Is it disposing of it right here? No, it never even connects. No. It never connects. It should be... Well, it's getting the existing content for tag. It's doing that. So there is a connection. Go away. Can't get one. I had this made. This was made for the Visual Studio 2019 launch. Shoot. So... Right, force it to WebAssembly. And errors. Okay. Yeah, that's why. We're jumping render modes. Okay. This is inside. Okay, okay. So over here, that. So if I take that out, it's going to do its rebuild. Yep. There, it's rebuilding. It is interesting to learn these edge scenarios. And there it is as WebAssembly. And there it is connected to the Signal R. So now if I go over here, there it is. And if I reject, it's not going to remove it. I still need to wire up the reject to it. So notify rejected client. There's a remove message with the provider ID. We need to handle that on the waterfall just in case. Oh, we send a message that shouldn't be over here. Go yank that. So let's handle that method. Right? But I think the dispose here, I can put that back in. Yeah, it's not going to be happy. This can go away. No. Connection on. And it was, it should know this one. Come on now. Really? You know this hat. You know this hat very well. Wow. What the heck? Copy. Paste. All right, and I can specify the parameter types. Sure. I know the parameter types are 2 strings coming through, right? So let's call this provider ID. Yep. So we're going to find that one first. Oh, that's so good. That's so good that it found it. And I can say, yeah. Nah, it's not. Is it this message.k? No. I should be able to say just this message. What's the overload? Daytime offset, the key, and the model. No. I don't like that. Shoot. If I try and do a remove on it, passing in that daytime offset, it's not necessarily going to get the same one if they've got the same daytime offset. Because it's a sorted list. And I'm relying on the fact that it's doing the sorting for us. But I could have collisions on that key. Fine. Yeah. It was a funk that it took. Action, there it is. It wants a task to return. Fine. Still doesn't like it. I can take that out, but it looks like I need to give it a type array. Can I give it here? Like that? Do we like that better? No, I'm not passing the content model. I'm not passing a model. I'm just passing the 2 key values. It's a composite key that makes up each content element. It's the ID from the platform and the name of the platform that generated the content. So now if I go back over here, so this welcome for Alu the Crow, I'll approve that. Those 2 come through. I'll take the Alu the Crow one here, reject, and it properly removes it. Good. Okay. Hey, Kai, thank you so much for the kind words. Good to see you. How you doing there? Okay, so the remove, approve, and moving things back and forth, that all appears to be working properly now. Updated waterfall to live update based on moderation. Okay, so at some point I need to put the configuration for the back of these cards that open, so you can put your own design back there. I also want to allow folks to create their own animation for that, or specify their own animation for that. So the formatting and painting of these, it's rerun. That's right, spin your modal. the Is it doing the same thing on the waterfall page? Like, if I approve that, it doesn't look like it's doing that same bit of re-rendering. So when it adds a new element, yeah, I bet it's re-rendering the entire collection. I bet it's rerunning that for each. One second. Stupid. Um, I think something's going on. Azure API management is a big service. There is a lot to it, yes. And I'm not a fan of how complex they made it. They did the same thing to Azure Front Door. They made it very complex. And I don't think it needs to be. I think the re-rendering of this, when there's a new message, is causing a problem. I think it is. And it's right there. Let's just do a... Come here. Rendering moderation message with text. Where is it? Okay, that should be happening over here. We should see that. Hey, George. Hello. There we go. All right, so I'm seeing those. So it's rendering it 4 times. That's way down at the bottom, and it re-rendered it. It's re-rendering every message.
Houston, we have a problem.
I don't want it to render every message again. Let's double check here. Okay, we're going to have a first pass through that it's going to render everything. Clear the box. Inline child components into their parents. Huh? It's not the per component overhead. Define reusable render fragments. No. Inline child components. No, that's not it. If they aren't shown at once, to show thousands, consider not factoring out separate chat message display. That's not the issue. The issue is it re-renders all of them. When the parameter changes in that one component. When so I put the console log only in the on after render after the first, and it's not writing the message again. But it's also not. Hang on. There we go. It should probably call re-render after on secondary runs. Yeah. So that it does always have the right size. Yeah. It's still building. Reload. So it's going to format the first time. There they are. That's not bad. I still feel like it's going to put a lot of heat on the browser. Moderation, this one. No, that one. Sitting at... Yeah, the one with Twitch is the one that's really... That's open? No, whatever. Okay. But it is re-rendering each time through. But I don't think, Scode, I don't think that's the issue. Because it's each time this collection changes, it re-renders the collection. Right? So as new items are added to the collection, it re-renders the entire collection. Right, so clear that out. And see, it re-renders everything. when you add @key. I don't remember seeing that. But this resize is a big CSS thing where it goes through and avoid recreating delegates for many. Doesn't require Blazor to rebuild all of them. Because it hid the delegate inside of here. That's interesting. Hey, thank you, Slat. But that's not the key. Yeah, what is that? I'm not familiar with that. Oh, come on now.
Steve
Hey.
just resubscribed for 43 months.
Thank you so much, Steve. 43 months. Really appreciate the resub. Big thanks to all of the other folks that have resubbed while I was on with Carl as well. I'll be making donations to the American Cancer Society. We're gonna try and get. I don't typically like to push on the number of subscribers that I have, but we are really, really close to ticking me over into an extended payout on, like, if there's a payout increase that happens. Where is it? No. I'll have to find it. But we need to get to 100 subscribers, not gift subscriptions. And we're really close to it. Like, we're at like 90. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the @key. For components generated at a loop, previous example worked well, blah, 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 blah. Use the incremental render tree proof. Show me the docs on this. Yeah, show me the @key directive. Here. Yeah. To retain element, component, and model relationships. Yeah. Okay, that's all me. Good. Component must have an interactive render mode applied. Okay. When using a list of elements or components and the elements or components subsequently change, Blazor must decide which. The process of using the key directive attribute is required. So, what if I don't need that? And Can I do that? Is that what I'm... Is that what I'm reading? So that it's not... It's used in the diff builder. That makes sense. Guarantees preservation of elements or components based on the key's value. They used a person object there. So am I okay there? Right, so I don't think yeah, I need to reload the page. It still has the old version of it. Proper equals and hash code overrides. There, it's still outputting that text. I don't think it rebuilt properly. I mean, I can override to hash code and equals on the class. I mean, I could make... Right, I could make it, instead of just key, I could make it key dot provider ID, which should be pretty unique within the scope of a single page. Yeah, it's a string, so it should be better in there. And it's not re-rendering everything. Right, so put that test message back in there in the on after. Where the heck is it? Uh-huh. No. It's still calling the render a bunch of times. Hang on. Rerun the page. No, the provider is Mastodon. The provider ID is the ID from Mastodon. So clear that out. Yeah, see, look at how many times it's calling. But it's not going back and re-rendering. Well, okay, it's doing some re-rendering on that because of the mouse over. I'm okay on that. It doesn't need to call the resize on each one of those. So, right, that's re-rendering because I'm mousing over. So, go ahead, give me a message or two there in chat. So we added just one entry. Yeah, it re-rendered the whole smash. Even though I put the key on there. Go ahead. Yeah. It's re-rendering the whole page. Digital Dummy, let me come back to that question because we're hearing a lot of that. Why is it running it? Right, like the whole point of key is, I thought, was to not do that. Not that one. Model object instances. So I can make it just content. Refresh. So there's the first render coming through. And it re-rendered everything because it pushed that new entry in. Wait a minute. Is it... We receive a new message, we add it. And then it calls state has changed. Which is then, right, doing a render of the entire page. But I have to... No, the HTML does not change Brahmanowicz. Hey, Sniper Barnabas, hello, welcome. Is this... Do I need to go the other way? I'm calling state has changed and rendering the entire page. Or... do I put this into its own component that just renders this block? No, I'm calling state has changed because I've modified... I've modified the collection outside of a standard interaction cycle. There wasn't a click or a load or some other event. It's not the moderation message that's the problem. It's that. I need to notify that this collection has changed. Refresh. If that was an observable collection, I'm still calling, right? What I'm thinking is when I call state has changed, where'd it go? It's invoking state has changed on the entire page. Go back to that key description. Retain element, component, and model relationships. A collection model problem. Collection mapping problem solved by @key. Details component receives data from the parent, which is displayed in input, and any given displayed input element can receive the focus of the page. The parent component creates a list of person objects for display. Every few seconds, a new person is added to the collection. Each iteration of adding a person results in Blazor rebuilding the entire collection. Okay. The page's focus remains on the same index, so the focus shifts, it moves on screen. If I take control of should render. That feels like the sledgehammer result. Let me get there. You might be right, Blazor, Mr. Magoo. Let me get there. There, it's slowly adding people to the page. The mapping process of elements or components to a collection can be controlled with the key directive attribute. Use of key guarantees the preservation of elements or components based on the key's value. If the details component in the preceding example is keyed on the person item. Now, when that on timer callback does call, state has changed. So it's forcing the page to re-render. Okay. Modify the parent component to use the key directive with the people collection. We update the details element inside the for each to include @key. Okay. When the people collection changes, the association between details instances and person instances is retained. That's not what I'm seeing. Blazor ignores the re-rendering. That's what I'm hoping for, Dr. Cox. Yeah. Eberone, thank you so much for the kind words. How are you? I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. Welcome. I appreciate you joining us. If an instance is deleted from the collection, only the corresponding component instance is removed. That feels like the right thing to do in the waterfall UI as well, right? So over here, where we're rendering all the waterfall messages, right? So if I did @key equals content, right? That should, right? So there's the waterfall display. Reload that. There it goes. I can't tell if it re-rendered everything or not. But I can tell maybe it is re-rendering, but not actually doing anything. No, I haven't worked with that at all, Napalm. No, I don't need it. So maybe I'm okay. Maybe I'm okay. And I have maybe I have slowed down a bit of that. And it isn't going to re-render many, many times. Right? So... Oh, it's rebuilding. Darn it. Should we stress test while looking at the browser task manager? I don't want to go there just yet. So there's the first render. Right? Now, those are subsequent renders. It's not re-executing that on all of the messages. So maybe I did get... Right? It's doing a first render coming through, and it's not doing those subsequent renders. So maybe I did get it? It looks proper on page now. Still have to wire up the pause button. I do need to wrap up, though. Started using the @key directive on messages. I think we're in a better place. I still have to do these filter criteria. I did blocked users the other day. This works. I think these events work also. Actually, that's not blocking stream elements right now. Stream elements would be coming through automatically blocked over here if it was. Hey, Junie Von Esch. Hello. Thank you. 5 years as a partner. Okay, so blocked users are not being automatically blocked. We should be able to get that. Should be able to get that pretty easy. Yeah, 5 years on Twitch as a partner, right? So, right, 5, and it'll be 7 years broadcasting on Twitch this year because I started in November 2017. So, yup. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. So young. Hey, shut up. I think I should wrap up. I do have a bit more. Let's write down some notes on what we figured out here. So we got the events coming back and forth. Blocked users are not being blocked, not being rejected for reason blocked user. Actually, I wonder if they are and I'm just not decorating it. Let's look at the data. To the data. You can open now. Thank you. It might be, and I'm just not formatting the component yet, which makes sense. Hey, Shaky J. Thank you. Appreciate the partner anniversary wishes. You always block rejects? Well... there it goes. All right, Postgres, schemas, public, tables. Order by, timestamp. No. Timestamp. Yep, descending. Go. Give me those. Select star from content. Where ID? In those? Actually, those are numbers. So I should be okay. No. Forgot that one. What do we got? No, it didn't automatically... It did not block those. What I should do is... Right, join public dots content. Thank you. Yes. Sure. The reference ID is ambiguous. Fine. How's that? Is that ambiguous? Where, order by content. There we go. Provider moderator is all me. Yeah, it doesn't have any of the automated actions. Yeah. So I'll have to go through and get that wired back up again. Hey, Abhishek. Hello. This is Azure Data Studio. The MySQL and Postgres extensions have been here for quite some time. I've been using the Postgres extension with this since August, at least. So I am using Postgres. Yes. Mm-hmm. Last time I used it was like 3 years ago. Okay. I know it, at least in the latter half of 2023, it was available. I don't know exactly when it was made available, but you're right. It's available for us now. So check out those extensions for other database providers. There you go. In the marketplace. So there's MySQL. So I have Postgres already installed. There it is. And of course SQL Server. So yeah. And of course cross-platform, right? This tool is available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. How far off am I from starting to add OTel? Let's talk on Tuesday next week. So I'm going to do some more wrenching on this. The blocked users not being rejected. Azure Content Safety, is that displaying and working properly? What else do we want to do? Yeah, I'm out of Oh, overlay. We got to get the overlay SignalR connection needs to be verified. I think those are the big three things left to do here. YouTube chat, I'm going to be rewriting. And I want to rewrite it with Playwright. Here's the deal. The API that you have for YouTube chat, and I don't even have the page here. The API that you have for YouTube chat and for Instagram is awful. Is really, really hard to get continuous feedback and information flowing through. However, if we use Playwright generates a browser instance and navigates and will do tasks for us and listen for events. There's another tool out there called social media something that's a plugin for Chrome that opens tabs to all of your social media places that you want to monitor. You log into them, and it will and it will thank you. And it will raise it will copy messages effectively from one tab to another. Well, why don't we just do that with Playwright? And we can have it run headless, behind the scenes, no problem. Then we can point it to Instagram, YouTube, any other website. You give it the login credentials to log in with Playwright. And Playwright will open that headless browser off to the side and listen and do its thing on the appropriate page for whatever it is that we're listening for. That is where I think we're going to go with that. You want to drop MySQL Workbench? I haven't used the MySQL tool plugin for Data Studio. However, I can tell you GitHub Copilot does work with Data Studio. So that alone might be worth it. Thank you, Eric, for the resub. Omar, sin nickname. Appreciate you joining us. Playwright is a great web scraper. Yes. Yep. So those are the pieces that I think I can lob in here. The providers, this I'd love to get wired up to OTel, to open telemetry, so we get information coming back from them. There's the save button on the providers. Should enable, disable, restart appropriately. So I think that's going to be kind of key to making sure this is a nice experience. Because right now, if you change one of these settings, you have to restart the site. For just me running this here locally on my machine, fantastic. When it's running in production, that stinks. Start and stop that service appropriately. But I think those are the big things left to do. The Blue Sky provider is just about done. The Blue Sky provider, though, listens to the fire hose. There is no search mechanism on that, but we're pretty close. We're pretty close. I'm going to take these 5 items. Tell you what, I want to make sure that you see and know that I'm working on these. The source code is linked down here at the bottom. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to create an issue. Or, no, you know what? Let's go to the open pull request for the Blazor migration. This is going on way too long. I mean, look at all these refactorings in here. Plus, I'm not wired up to the unit tests yet. Remaining tasks. And I'm going to paste that in. Azure Content Safety is kind of important to get that working. I'm going to move this out to its own task. Unit tests should run properly. Playwright tests should run against the Blazor project instead. And then finally remove the old web project. So those are the tasks that I think we have left in here. Once that's done, we can move on and get out of here because I've missed a couple milestones because this has just taken so long to do. But I think we're going to be in a really good place with this. There is a killer feature that I can't wait to add when we're on the other side of this. Like, if we look at the milestones, like, Milestone 4 was supposed to be done 2 months ago, and it's only 27% complete. Like, deal with channel moderation from Twitch chat. I'm moving that out. I'm going to move YouTube out because that's going to change completely. Move that out. Blur content from blocked users. I do like that one from Chris Jones. Need a way to add custom messages to Waterfall. Move that out. Need a way to respond to viewers on their platform. I'm going to leave that one in. Move that one out. Move that one out. I would really want to get version numbering done. I think we got that done. I think we got that done as well. Sure, move that out. Move that one out also. I want to do this one really bad. Move that out. Sentiment analysis of messages. Yeah. Holy crow, how did I think I was going to do all of this? That needs to move out. That one is in process. That one, yeah, we need to do that. I'm going to leave these two here. That one Rich is working on. I'm going to leave those. I'm going to move these out to milestone 6. So that we can close this one down. Yeah, eyes much bigger than my keyboard. You aren't kidding. So, no, that one, put that on 6. Yeah. Go back to the milestones. Let's look at 5. Aspire configuration project. Yes. I'm going to push these two. I'm going to push this to 6. This one I'm going to push to future. Actually, this I'm pulling forward. No. No, I'm going to push these to future. 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 That one I'm going to mark as done. Because completed with new SignalR client in Blazor. It does blow up the sprint. You're right. So I want to make 5 go away. That should go to future. Yeah. So close that. So 4 we're going to wrap up. 6 has 17 items on it. No, I think that's fine. And I appreciate doing a little bit of project management here. Milestone 7. And let's put that out here in March. So the things that are currently in 6. That's got to go out to the future. That's way out there. I don't know why it's not getting the hat. The hat detection has been awful recently. Yeah. These ones, debounce delay, modal window, I'm okay with that. That needs to move out. I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with that one. That needs to move out. Actually, let me put the native app onto Milestone 7. Because here's the thing. I want to allow... it's not going to pick it up. No. I'm okay with that one. That needs to move. That's going to take too long. No. I'm okay. Move that out. Move that out. Move those to 7. And I definitely want to start this one. And I think I can get some help talking to our friend Maddie Montequilla this week. Because there is a killer feature that's going to come with the companion mobile app. I really need some help with this one. Is anybody can anybody jump in and help me with version numbering? I don't know, Eric. Maybe. What? No. Oh, because version's still in there. I need to reopen this. Yeah. Where was I? Companion. Because there's something very important to me that I want to do as part of this. Hey, Sky Hoshi. Do I have a standard I want to follow, or is that part of the issue? That's the part of the issue. Is I need to decide what that... We need to decide what that is and get it jammed in there. And use that version to stamp a container, stamp a NuGet package, stamp the DLLs. Something that's very important to me, and something that you're going to see over the next 2 months. I want to reinvent the way that you watch and participate in virtual events online. This is going to be something huge that we move on and make happen. Those of you that are watching on Twitch that are commenting here in the chat room,
This is interactive TV for you. There's a few of you watching over on YouTube. Maybe you have it up on the TV and you're watching over there. So what's important to me is that folks that watch YouTube is on everybody's TV at this point. If you have a modern television, you can get YouTube on your television. However, interacting with that big screen presentation of the live stream is a pain in the neck. Yeah, you can dial up the YouTube app on your phone and you can chat that way, typing with your thumbs. But chat is just, in my mind, is just the first level of interaction. I want to do something more. I want to do something significantly more. Before we have our next .NET Conf Focus event, I want to have the first bits of a companion app for Tags app so that it becomes the way that you participate in the event. Not just watch, but participate. So that you aren't just watching. But I want folks that watch events to be included, to be a part of, to be active. And the companion mobile app that we're going to build is going to give you that. We'll do more about that. We'll talk more about that as we get there. No, not everyone has to wear a hat. No. Usually like automating builds with a YYMMDD. I like that, Eric, for the patch number at the end. I want to be able to make the minor number what I'm currently labeling as the milestone number. I want to have a minor and major version number that are controlled by human, but the patch number at the end, right? Major, minor, patch. The patch be just an incrementing build ID. Yeah. You've never seen a modern TV with a keyboard interface work together with a video app. Right, Sky Hoshi? I mean, some folks can have hooked up keyboards to their Xbox or to their PlayStation. But if you've got a handful of folks that are sitting around watching a live stream or a live streamed event, you're not really participating. You're all sitting around watching. It's on in the background. I want you to have a companion app on that personal device, that device that's so personal to you that you can use to participate. All these components are there for the TV, but not working together. Totally agree, Skyhoshi. Let's take the discussion about the build IDs to Discord and go through it further. I do need to wrap up. All right, yeah. Let me wrap up. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Whether you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Twitch, really good stuff. I appreciate you joining us. Had some great discussions today. Let me keyboard works on your smart TV and Bluetooth Xbox controller. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Those of you that are watching on Twitch, let me see who else is streaming that I can get you connected with. I have a pretty good idea who I want to raid. I have a pretty good idea. Let me get you connected to... Let's go over to Jason Langsdorff. Who's doing some web development Q&A. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, there's lots of great content just below and over there on the side. Click the subscribe button, click notify, click the notify bell, and you'll be notified next time I go live. And you'll be notified when there's new episodes of the C# in the Cards series as well. All right? Thank you so much for tuning in. Get ready to say hi to our friend Jason, and I will see you next Tuesday. I'll be out on Thursday, but I'll see you next Tuesday, all right? Have a great one. I wish you good health and good coding. Take care.